Smithfield Town Council meeting, June 17, 2024. Madam Clerk, can you start us with the prayer and the pledge, please?
Thank you for bringing us together today in the spirit of generosity. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. May we discern your will to unite in fruitful outcome. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Here.
Thank you.
Ms. Hamilton.
Here.
Mrs. O'Hara. Here. Mr. Ogier.
Here.
Ms. Alves.
Here. Next item, open forum, non-agenda items only pursuant to 42-46-6D, maximum 3 minutes per person. Did anyone want to sign up to speak at open forum? No. Okay, first person, Joey Spigny.
Joey Savigny, 1790 Pound Hill Road. A couple weeks ago, I was at the meeting when we had to discuss trash and recycling. And one of the biggest concerns at the meeting was people wanting an extra trash barrel. After doing some research, I talked a little bit with the Public Works Director that night about it. But I think there's a way to do this. 32-gallon yellow bags cost $2 each. The trash containers hold 64 gallons, which is the 2 bags. If the town allows residents to purchase that extra trash bin, it is equivalent to those 2 yellow bags every week. So my suggestion is anyone wanting to purchase an extra trash barrel would also have to purchase a recycling bin, either a 64 or 96 gallon. One of the concerns of the Public Works Director was he doesn't want to generate more trash if we don't have to. And I think if you're generating enough trash for 2 barrels, you should have 2 recycling bins. The first year cost for a 64 gallon would be roughly $300, and with the 96 gallon, $320. Residents that enroll into this plan would then be billed every July $208, which is the cost of dumping that barrel, which is the equivalent of 2 yellow bags every week for the year. I gave you a little bit of a breakdown of how the numbers work. This would also benefit residents concerned about the trash, those concerned about animals getting into the yellow bags being left on the side of the road every week, and the driver of the trash truck does not need to leave the truck to pick up yellow bags, making it more difficult for him, especially on the busier roads. I did speak with Waste Management that night, and Cranston has a similar program to this, where they allow their residents to purchase the extra barrel and charge them accordingly for the dumping fees for the year. Just something I think maybe we should look into. Thank you.
Again, anyone else want to speak during open forum? Next, North Smithfield Town Council sitting as Board of Licensing Commissioners. A, discussion by council vote or other action on holiday sales, peddler/hawker license DBA Phantom Fireworks located at 1148 Eddie Dowling Highway. Is there anyone here for that? Did you want to get up, please? Could you state your name and address, please?
My name is Dan Mahan, 200 Thompson Road, Thompson, Connecticut. Representing Phantom Fireworks. This is not my normal job. I was asked to fill in because someone couldn't come, but
Lucky
here
you.
I am.
And 1148 Eddie Dowling Highway is where, please? Where would the tent be located?
It's at Route 146, near the Lincoln Town Line, Johnson paving area, a property, I should say.
Oh, okay.
We've been in town several years previously, ma'am, at Lakeside Pool, but due to changes in property, or I think, or something, we got a lease at from Johnson Paving down the road.
So just quick question, it's chaos there, right, with all the construction, is that?
It is, ma'am, a little
Is
busy.
that going to
Yep.
be something that is going to impede any of your ability to, I mean, people won't be able to stop
Yeah, well,
right now?
we don't believe so. It is a little.
It's a little different.
It is a little different. but the state law requires us to be back 25 feet from the highway, and we haven't actually put it up until tomorrow, I believe, if we're approved, but we're positioned 35 feet, an extra little space behind the highway to be off the traffic route.
Okay.
And we think that we have a adequate ingress and egress to be safe, and the fire marshal will come this weekend and determine that himself also if we're okay. But I believe we're okay.
Yeah, that would be my concern for safety of anyone driving in that area, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not the way it used to be.
So would the tent go up first, and then the fire marshal's gonna go and deem whether or not it's safe, or is that?
Yes, ma'am. The tent is supposed to be put in tomorrow, and the fire marshal is scheduled to come, I believe, Thursday morning, and he will determine if that's okay, if it's okay with you.
Then you can't do any sales until he goes and checks it out, am I
No,
right?
ma'am, no, ma'am. We are not scheduled to open until
Okay.
this next weekend, after we have all our approvals.
So, Madam Clerk, we do have a completed fire department approval on here already. Is that a different approval necessary, or? And I'm just wondering if DOT needs to get involved in that as opposed to a local, you know,
It's a state highway.
yeah.
I'm not an expert, ma'am, but I do believe that we are set back appropriately. But,
Yeah, it's not the setback that I'm worried about, like you know, it's good for your safety too, because
Oh,
they're
yes.
flying by there. But
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just thinking, in terms of people coming in and out after purchase,
Right.
you know, if they're getting back onto that main road, that could be a little tricky, so I'm just,
I understand.
I'm
We
reluctant.
were previously, ma'am, in the past few years, we were located at the Lakeside Pool location
Right.
up the road.
Right.
And we were approved for that, and again, I'm no expert, I'm not trying to tell you anything, but that was also kind of a busy area, and we were okay there for a few years.
Mhm.
So,
yeah, well, it's up to you.
I don't think
I
it's,
would-
personally, I don't think it's a great location, as far as three-quarters of those cars are gonna be taking the left lane and going on the flyover, but it's none of my business. If you wanna set up shop there, I think you have a right to set up shop.
okay, I appreciate that, sir, thank you. I'm not the person that chooses this, I just work for the company, and I just came here for them, but I appreciate you saying that, thank you.
It was approved by David Maury, the fire marshal, on May 2nd.
Okay, they approved it, right?
I have a question, Madam President. How busy is your, like, at your peak? How busy are you? How many cars would you anticipate? Do you anticipate any spillover traffic onto 146 or anything like that?
Well, we're only open for about 2 weeks, sir, and for
Well, in the past, right?
Oh, yeah,
Let's
yeah,
use the
but
past.
for approximately 9 or 10 days, we're really not that busy. We do most of our business in the last few days. It does, you know, July 4th, 3rd, 2nd. So it does get a little busier then. Well, that gets a bit busier then, but.
Hopefully.
Anyone have any more questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve Phantom Fireworks, setting up at a location of 1148 Eddie Dowling Highway.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Madam President,
Yes.
may I suggest that we move up new business D for the teachers that are in here?
We still
That's
have-
the teachers contract?
I think we still have licenses to
Yeah, we're
finish.
still in licenses. Can we just finish the licenses?
Sure, whatever you want.
Okay, you're all set.
We're
Thank you.
done?
Thank you. Good
Okay,
luck.
thank you very
Catherine.
much, folks.
Next item is B, discussion by council vote or other action on holiday sales, peddler/hawker license DBA TNT Fireworks located at 7 Darling Village Boulevard. Could you state your name and address, please?
Good evening, my name is Kent McLaughlin, address is 53 Wadhams Avenue, Torrington, Connecticut. I'm here representing TNT Fireworks.
And will this actually be at the Walmart?
Yes, it'll be the same location that it's been in the past years.
Everything's all set, Madam Clerk?
Now, that's a good location.
Yes, it is.
Anyone have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the TNT fireworks at Walmart East, 7 Village, Dowling Village Boulevard in North Smithfield, starting 6:20 and running until 7:05.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Next one is discussion by council vote or other action on solicitation license DBA renewal by Anderson. Is there anyone here for that license? Would you like to get up, please?
Is that door-to-door stuff?
Would you state your name and address, please?
My name is Hernan Avila. The address of the company or my actual?
Your address, please.
Okay, so that's 81 Putnam Street, Providence, Rhode Island. 02909 is the zip code.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Avila?
Madam President?
Mm-hmm.
I just have one, more of a comment than a question.
Yeah.
You guys gotta take no for an answer. Someone was at my door the other day and I couldn't shake them. You know, and then finally I had to say, all right, enough, you gotta go. Because, they just gotta take no for an answer,
Yeah,
all right?
no problem.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the renewal by Anderson license at 10 Reservoir Road in Smithfield. Hours of operations from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. And this is, everything is all set, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
No.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. You're all set.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I really confused. Does that mean I'm okay?
You're all set, yeah. Ms. Biragad, what did you want to move up?
Madam President, I would like to move up, new business D, which is, discussion by council board of action on contract for the North Smithfield School Committee and Teachers Association.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
And we have a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes?
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Public hearing is now open, and anyone like to get up to speak during the public hearing? No?
I never saw teachers as quiet.
Did school committee want to give an oversight on it? Yeah?
Terry Bardamoli, School Committee. Do you need my address?
Yes, please.
1 Taylor Drive, North Smithfield. First, I want to start off by saying thank you to Chris Welsh, her team, and Alex from Providence. We spent a lot of hours after work, a long time, working on this, and I appreciate the professionalism and the respect that I think we all showed one another. Jim couldn't be here tonight. I'd like to thank him, and also Fran Johannes, who was part of this. I think it's a fair contract. I don't know if we had any winners, but we worked really hard to come up with something that would work for everybody. I'm not sure, have you all read through it? Did you have any questions on any of it?
No, the only thing I would like you to do for the record is just read in the assumptions, you know, the fiscal impact, well, actually, the increases per
Okay.
year, just so people know that.
Okay,
because
so it was a 3-year contract, and
Yeah.
what we've negotiated, the first year is a 2% raise. The second year is also 2%, and in the third year, it is 3%, and that is across the board for all steps. Longevity increases were a monetary number. There were some language changes. We had an increase on some hourly wages for tutoring and summer school and things in that, for those items. But we also negotiated out of the contract the reimbursement on the health insurance deductibles. So in the first year, we continued to give the reimbursement. The second year will be 50%, and in the third year, it's gone.
Are there any other highlights that need to be mentioned, just so everyone understands?
I don't think so. I mean, one of the language changes that we addressed with our attorney, Mr. Scungio, was we did have to address the family medical leave for maternity, paternity, adoption, and surrogacy. So now that language follows state and federal guidelines. I think that's about it.
Okay, so in year one, you're looking at a net impact, including everything, fringe benefits, salaries, of $570,905, right?
I think.
Okay.
That is one I
That's what we have.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what? I got it, and I didn't print it. I am sorry about
That's
that.
okay. And in year two, 564,152. And then year three, when we have the 3% salary increase, we'd be seeing a fiscal impact of $725,777. Okay, for the record.
Sounds right.
Going into this, our teachers were the second lowest paid in the state. I don't know if they're the lowest. I've been trying to get Butlerville's contract. They were the lowest. They made adjustments across the board on steps, and I don't know where we stand now. But I just want to say, going into this, North Smithfield teachers from steps 1 through 10 were the second lowest in the state.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment, please. Knowing the school committee, they're very reasonable people. To work together to the point that, I'll call Terry anyway, we've known each other that long, has presented the settlement. I can't help but agree with her. With the way things are now, and you have to live also, I wish we were in a place to do more for you. But we have to think of what's coming in tax-wise. It's a bad time. It's a bad time. But I appreciate you working. It doesn't make it any easier to put food on the table, but at least you're all working as a team, and I thank you for that.
Madam President? I'd like to say that my daughter just graduated, as some of you might know, at Eden, and she walked out of there with a great education. She's, you guys did a great job from year 1 to year 12, and she's ready to move on. And she left that school ready to go. And you know, my hat's off to all of you. You did a great job, and I think you deserve every bit of this contract. So you got my support 100%.
Anyone else have any other questions or comments?
No, I'm glad we're in line with the state. I think that's good, you know, for parental leave, you know, paternal.
And we did bring in the attorney just to make sure we did get it right. And he worked with the union, and he worked with us, and I think everybody was satisfied with it.
Okay, that was any questions I had.
Anyone else have questions? Anyone want to make a motion? Or we got to close the public hearing? Does anyone else want to speak at the public hearing? Last chance.
Do you want me to read into the minutes?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that the budget committee review.
Joey Savigny, Chairman of the North Smithfield Budget Committee. We reviewed the accompanying North Smithfield School Department's fiscal impact statement for the North Smithfield Teachers Association contract for the 3-year period, July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2027. We did this on Thursday, May 30th, 2024. Our review included an analysis of the school department's financial data, detail, and assumptions that supported their fiscal impact statement. Excuse me. Based on our review, we are not aware of any material modifications that should be made to the accompanying fiscal impact statement, and that it fairly reflects the changes to the North Smithfield Teachers Association contract for the 3-year period from July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2027. And I would also like to thank the school committee. I mean, we reviewed that contract, and I think the school committee did a great job in getting a decent contract. It's fair. There's nothing out of line with it. So, are there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
With no one else wanting to speak, want to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Next one is discussion by council vote or other action on the contract. Anyone have any other discussion or questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-2027 contract for the North Smithfield School Committee, for the,
Second.
what's the contract? For the North Smithfield, for the contract between the North Smithfield School Committee and North Smithfield Teachers Association for the 3-year period of 2024 to 2027.
Clay, want a second?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Hold on a second. Does anybody else, Paul, Mr. Administrator? Sorry to interrupt. Do you need to sign it? Or is it all set? Okay. I can't. I didn't see a page, but I just wanted to. Okay. All right, so we'll just add that in case, but I
Okay.
think it's fine.
I don't think so.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes,
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Thank you.
thank you.
Do you want to, we're going to take a brief recess, so anyone who wants to,
It's like stealing.
She wants to stick around.
you want to stay, you can. All right, the next item we're going to move up is old business B, discussion by council vote or other action on award a bid for North Smithfield Middle School. Mr. Seepy for a North, middle school engineering services for air conditioning.
So what we submitted to you was $18,000 to do a study on North Smithfield Middle School to put in air conditioning. This actually came out after we met with the Budget Committee earlier in the year, and one of the items that have been on my list is getting some air conditioning into the schools. The priority was North Smithfield Middle School. Now, in the past, when we had looked at doing this, the estimate was about $1 million. After the meeting with the Budget Committee, I asked Mr. Seepy to take a look again. He had Train come in, which is the, they have our systems right now. And they did a quick walkthrough, and there's some new technologies that they've done in some schools in Massachusetts that they can expand our current system. They estimate the price is around $400,000 to bring air conditioning into the middle school. However, prior to that, they need to do a study to just a structural review of the units that are on the roof, analysis of the current HVAC system, looking at cooling system viable with the current infrastructure, sizing of the new system, inspecting the building controls, and the other one is inspecting the ductwork to see that it is already insulated. Now, we've done some inspection of the ductwork, it's insulated. Train has walked through, and they think, you know, we're going to be on target. Now, part of doing this study, though, is that in order for us to get reimbursement from RIDE, 35% reimbursement for the work, a couple of things have to happen. One, school committee has to approve the project, town council has to approve the project, and then we have to have an engineering study that we then submit to RIDE, which for them to approve the reimbursements of the project. But everything is pretty much in line.
May I? So with this, I mean, is there any possibility that we could, I guess maybe not anymore, the COVID money I'm thinking of in
That's
terms
all
of the,
gone.
you know, the HVAC and the,
Yeah.
and the air filtration and the air exchanges and all that stuff, you know?
Well, actually, we're in good shape with that because we did use the COVID money, whereas a lot of districts were putting in glass cubes and box fans into windows. We invested in the HVAC system. Now, not AC,
Right.
but our air exchange in all three buildings
good.
have exceeded the CDC standard at the time. So we actually have a good foundation now to put the other piece in.
And just for everyone's edification, why don't we have it there?
My understanding is that the building was designed for AC, but at the time, the decision was made to pull it out to save some money.
That's right.
So this will be throughout the building? That,
The only place
'Cause I
it
thought
doesn't
we had
reach is the
some.
gymnasium.
so there's no air conditioning in the building right now?
In a couple of
There is a-
offices and the cafeteria.
But not classrooms,
No,
not?
no.
Oh, okay.
And, you know,
Cafeteria's nice and chilly though, so do we have
yes,
that, right?
and,
Okay.
you know, and outside of just, actually, we had a nice June, which was unusual, but we often have 90 degrees or more in the classrooms. And I don't want to insult middle schoolers, but if you've smelt a room
It's-
of 25, you know, hygiene is something new for a lot of kids. It would really help everyone.
That's better for the building too. you
Yes.
know, and its longevity, right?
Yeah.
So I guess my only question would be, is there any way that we can at least try to determine some type of additional funding to offset this cost eventually after, I know we're talking only about the engineering right now, but if we were to, you know, pursue this, is there a way to, other than 35% reimbursement?
Well, we have the 35% reimbursement, and we have set aside funds that are in the fund balance. So, you know, so this has actually been a priority, but it had always been pushed off because a $1
Money.
million priority is different than a $400,000 priority. This one is reachable now. So that's why we want to go ahead and pursue this.
Okay, so I'm all set with my questions. I'll make a motion to.
I just want to reinforce, I've been in those classrooms, that top floor with the
Yes.
windows at the top, there's no cross ventilation. They're there, the parents are there for presentations, and you're going, oh, when is it going to end? Because you feel sick. You can't breathe. At the beginning, people said it should have been done. We tried to cut corners, and it wasn't. And if we had done it then, it wouldn't be as costly as it is now. It's not, this is a real necessity. those kids, especially in the afternoon, and if you have visit in the morning, it's unbearable. Because I had started with one of them gonna volunteer, I said, no, I'll be out on a stretcher.
Second and
It's
third
not good.
floors
It's
are
unhealthy.
terrible.
It's unhealthy.
Yeah, I refer to the school as an easy bake oven, because it just heats up during the day.
It does.
Yeah.
So how long is it gonna take them to complete this proposal or this engineering specs?
I think a few weeks to do the specs. They should be able to turn that around pretty quickly. And then, you know, if it does come out at that 400,000 or less, the 18 we spend on that is actually rolled into the price.
So would Train actually be doing
Yes.
the air conditioning unit?
Yeah, I think Train may do a subcontract on that, but it's through a federal state bid system, so.
And would they have this stuff in stock, or is it something that needs to be on order for quite
I
some?
don't
They
know
didn't tell
right
you?
now, no.
Okay. So you don't know when the actual project would start?
Well, we'd like it to start as soon as possible. I mean, we'll get the study, we'll put it past the Department of Ed for the reimbursement rate and get going on this.
All right, anyone have any other questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
I could make a motion to approve the $18,000 for Train Services to do a study of classrooms and HVAC infrastructure in the middle school.
Second that motion?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let's do, move up, new business discussion by council vote or other action on Economic Development Commission recommendation to award bid for Route 146 Waterline Tax Increment Financing TIF. Request for proposal, RFP, Mr. Byron.
Good evening.
Evening.
I was hoping tonight that we could make the recommendation, but unfortunately at our last EDC meeting, we didn't have enough quorum to vote on the motion. But I felt it was important for me to come tonight to give you an update. I don't know how far you were updated from the last time that we made the presentation. I believe we're very fortunate. We have a lot of allies on our corner from out of the town, namely Representative Stephen Casey from Woonsocket. He has been a spearhead of this like there's no tomorrow. We're calling it the gateway to Rhode Island, is what we're calling it. We've had 2 meetings at the State House and 1 a Zoom meeting where Mr. Zelinski, the Water and Sewer, and Gary Ozowski, we all attended. He has had every agency in the state there. We got Lincoln backing us up and Woonsocket. The RFP that we put out, first of all, I'd like the council to send a letter of thanks to Scott Gibbs because he drew up the whole RFP. I don't know what that would have cost us, but if it's $100, it's $100. But I'd like the council to send a citation to him for thanking him for his effort for that. First of all, we only got 1 bid back, and there were, I believe, 3 options. We were looking to do 2 options, but there's a 3rd option. When I came here the last time, I had given you what is in our balance of the EDC. And I checked with Anthony this week. We're up to over $59,000. So that money, even if we elected to do all the options, we're going to be under the money that we already have set aside for it. As far as where we stand, through the efforts of Mr. Casey and numerous other people that I can't even think of, because we go to the meetings and there's 50 people there from the state. Even the Speaker of the House was at the last meeting, and he's supporting it. The state is, the DOT is amendable to run lines underneath the road. What we had talked about was, if we ran the water line, they wouldn't let us do the water lines, and if we don't do it by next year, it's gonna cost us about $7 to $8 million more to run the laterals across the road. And what's estimated is at least 4 laterals to go underneath the road. So what we're trying to do is to work with the present contractor, Lynch Construction, to see if they will do the laterals. And Mr. Zelinski can talk more about what we found out. But I don't know if we really need to, if you really need to have a vote from the EDC to speed this up. I'm hoping that we can get this approved, since there was only that one bid. Because otherwise, we gotta wait another couple of weeks, and hopefully we get a quorum. We're down a member, so that's one of the reasons why we're having trouble getting a quorum. But I can answer any questions that anybody might have.
Madam President, can I just, I know I spoke in support of it the last time you presented. We have not heard anything, or it's been very minimal. And so I think if there was more communication, something as important as this, I think we would have put it on the agenda or called a special meeting to vote sooner. So I think if there's anything the EDC needs out of the council, I'd recommend that, you know, if you need that action, to come to us.
Well, that was the reason why I put it on the agenda, because I thought we were gonna have that approval. But the approval we're seeking is only what you voted on in February. We're not asking for where to put the water lines or how much money to spend. It's only to award that a bid, is what my presentation was for tonight.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And what we have talked to between myself, Mr. Zelinski, Mr. Garyzowski, that we only want to go ahead with option 1 at first, which I believe.
It's a feasibility. It's roughly $35,000 to see if it's feasible to move into other sections of review. So of course that is for the tax incrementation,
And that part of, and that part of the bid is essential for us to get funding from the infrastructure. No.
No.
Well, I thought it was part of the application process.
It certainly is going to help, but I'm going to ask the council to make an amendment to tonight's agenda, so I can give you some real good news. There's no vote required. I'll just bring you up to speed. What I found out at 1:13 on Friday. So that'll be coming. I'll address that, Steve.
I mean,
so
going back 2 months.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it's what you point order. So, Mr. Administrator, are you saying we should finish the conversation with Mr. Byron and the Economic Development Committee, and then you're going to ask for a motion on a new agenda item?
That's correct.
Okay.
No vote required.
I'm a little confused here.
Point of order. Are you going to vote on?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Mr. Byron's request? I believe the administrator wants you to add an item on the agenda for discussion only.
Mr. Solicitor, can we table this discussion and have the administrator, and then
why don't we do that?
We can still have Mr. Byron speak, but if there's no action needed with the Economic Development Committee, I feel like it's cleaner than us taking a vote and pulling a vote back.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
All right.
Okay.
Let me know.
So we'll table it and we'll be back.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
So what I'm going to ask for is that you make an amendment to the agenda. Again, I want to reiterate that there's no vote to be taken. It's just for me to share some real good news. It all ties in.
Now?
Well, somebody, you have to make a motion to amend.
So then I'll make a motion to amend the agenda as it relates to
Rhode Island Commerce,
Rhode Island Commerce and the water line
readiness.
at 146.
Yes.
Site readiness from the update from the administrator.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Council, what has happened, I asked the planning department to submit for a grant for Rhode Island readiness. That's grant, straight money, no match. We were thinking it'd be somewhere in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. I too would like to thank Representative Steve Casey and also Melissa Travis, who's around Secretary of Certified Public Accountants. Those two took the reins and marched it through the State House. And as Mr. Byron said, Speaker of the House was there, it was Representative Rydot, the room was full of people supporting this. So what the good news is, Friday at 1:13, I was notified that the town has received a grant of $150,000 to do the engineering to install sleeves under 146 during the reconstruction process. So in the future now, with this grant to do the engineering, that enables the town to apply for federal monies, possibility of grant monies to install water lines through the 146 corridor. So it's phenomenal news. Didn't expect to receive that much money. Tomorrow I'll be at a press conference to speak for North Smithfield. As Mr. Byron said, I'd also like to thank Mayor Beauchamp from Woonsocket, Administrator Gould from Lincoln. There's so many folks, I'm going to miss them, but it was just a complete group effort to get this to happen with Rhode Island Commerce. And looking to forward to the future, hopefully we'll be able to apply for federal monies to put water lines down 146. With these sleeves that cross under the highway, it'll save tremendous amount of money. It makes it feasible. Otherwise, it'd be cost prohibitive in the future. We cannot dig into 146 for 5 to 10 years. So this would have the sleeves, they'll be capped. If we do get grant money from the federal government, we'll be able to put in water lines down the 146. This assists Lincoln with redundancy in water, also for fire suppression, as well as Woonsocket's already agreeing to supply us the water. So it's a home run.
Can I ask a couple of questions? How can we get a grant for a project that we're looking for a feasibility study for?
Totally separate. So if you understand the TIF program,
Yeah.
okay, so that's to tax incremental funding. So what that means is, as the property values go higher on 146, if there's water, the difference between their current tax and future taxes, those additional tax revenues will go to pay back this TIF program, pay back into the Economic Development Fund. What's being done at Rhode Island Commerce tomorrow is we're receiving $150,000, totally separate from TIF. It has anything to do with TIF. It's about doing engineering for the future so that we can put sleeves under the highway.
So we're getting $150,000 for an engineering study?
Yes.
To install laterals?
Correct.
And this feasibility study has nothing to do with installing laterals? That's what Mr. Byron just said.
No, it's getting a little convoluted there. So this study, the TIF program, which we don't have the Economic Development Committee's recommendation, that is for the town to take the additional tax assessment revenues and put it back into the business development and to pay back what was going to be used for the TIF program.
Right,
but if I may.
Yes.
So if we are to put in water lines, if there is a match, then the additional TIF money will help defray the cost of a match to bring water to 146.
So we have initial information that was done by Anchor Subaru. It's about $17 million, correct? Yes. We already have that. Yeah. So you're saying that is totally separate from this $150,000 for an engineering study to put the laterals underneath?
Yeah, well, so yeah. Mr. Benoit paid for that out of his pocket, as everyone knows. That's a rough estimate of what they thought water lines would take. And don't forget, we also need a water stack, a water tank for pressure as well. So it may be more than 117, the way things are going now. To put it in, a foot of water line was $300 and something last year. It's now up to $500. So supply chain, escalation, everything's coming at us. So to say 17 is the bottom line, we don't know. But this engineering, this Commerce Bank engineering study is to put us in a position so that we can go to the federal government and say, we have plans to put in. It has to be done fairly rapidly. It has to be done like within a year and a half while 146 is being worked on. So if it's approved, we can see where we can get the money to put in the laterals. We need that study first.
Can I ask a question, Madam President?
Yeah, I'm confused.
So, this engineering study, right? So this would essentially put us closer to being able to determine what the future looks like at 146 as it relates to water. I'll put it that way.
No.
But my other question is then if this opens up the possibility or unlocks the possibility of potential federal funds, isn't it kind of foolish that we're not looking at sewer as well at that point? If water's such a home run, wouldn't sewer make it even that much more attractive property?
It would, but with the advancement in sewer design systems, in essence, to run sewer, you'd have to go down to Route 116. That's where the interceptor is. It's a long way off. Right now, according to engineers, according to RIDOT, according to RI Commerce, their concern is to get water there. Sewer it's not a concern. It's something that can be dealt with the new, I won't call them individual septic design systems, but sewer has come a long way. Septic treatment.
Yeah, no, I get that. It just seems like sewer and water would make the beginning of 146 more attractive, which would then enhance the rest of the property value down the line. But I understand the need for water there.
If I may, go along with Mr. Zelinski just said, we don't have a cost of the sewers, but I can guess it's gonna be 3 times what it's gonna cost for water.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking for like
So
federal
it'll
funds.
It'll make the properties along that trail, make it valuable, but will the businesses be able to absorb that sewer tax?
Well, potentially, it depends on the business you bring in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you put a spot up there and you get like an Amazon or a Costco or something like that.
We don't have the room to put
I-
that in
I-
the business.
I understand. I'm just saying, depending on the type of business you get or the scale of business you get, you may. I don't think we should just be limiting a view on that. We don't know what could go in there. I mean, there's some places on 146 that have a supermarket, they have a little plaza, they have like a whole bunch of shops in there. Maybe it is offset. I don't know, but I'm just thinking if there was federal funds, wouldn't it make sense for us to know how much the cost of sewer is so that we could potentially tap into the cost of those, potentially any funds that are out there? And then maybe that doesn't have to be fully absorbed by the town or by anybody in the future. It just seems like if we're going to do it, we might as well do it right. I agree with we need water, that I get.
The other part of that,
Time limit.
it's gonna make it cost prohibitive, is next summer, they're planning on paving that 146, so that's our window to get the laterals in.
So it's less than a year and a half.
Right, so even if you wanted to put laterals in, you'd have to put laterals in for sewers at the same time, because of the way 146 is conceived. Like if you go at,
Can you go on
with-
at the mic, please? I'm sorry.
if you go where the self-storage is, the U-Haul and self-storage, you have to cross the road. You can't, you gotta get them on both sides of the road, so that's why you need the laterals even for the water and the sewer. So I don't think we have the window to get the would I love to see that? Yes, I agree with you
Right.
100%. It would make it really marketable but I don't think our window is that big to get that part of it done also.
Okay, I appreciate the answer.
Yeah, the water lines and potential sewer lines will be run on the outside of the highway. So what this grant is going to do is look for, they call them sleeves, you can call them conduits, 4 to 6 locations crossing 146. So there's a possibility there that sewer can be part of the project, but right now, the engineering folks are thinking it's water at this point. And if you have the sleeves or the conduit there, you can add sewer or water later. But right now, it's focusing on water. It has been mentioned for sewer. That will take us down, again, as I said earlier, down to Route 116 for the intersector, which would bring in the Narragansett Bay Commission to get them on board with
Yeah,
it
that
as
makes
well.
sense.
So, Mr. Byron, any company that's gonna come in, even though we advertise that we have water there, and now it's their expense to put in the sewer, is that really gonna be beneficial to bring in business? Because aren't they just gonna go somewhere?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's no different than when we wanted to do the sewer project 8 years ago, and the residents were gonna have to pay a sewer tax. And if I remember right, at that time, it was like $45,000 for a homeowner when a sewer line ran across the front of their property. So, and imagine if you got a business and you got 2,000 feet, what that cost is. And maybe some businesses like Anchor Subaru would go, but like Mr. Zelinski said, they've come a long way with individual disposal systems. Is it nice to have sewer? Yes, but water is the essential thing.
Right, so every business that comes in is gonna be responsible for having their own septic design or
Correct.
having a
Yes,
septic
correct.
put
Yeah.
in. So there's still that additional expense.
Yeah. It's no different than building a house in Smithfield off one of the main roads. You gotta put an individual septic system in.
Right, but I just don't, I can't see all these businesses coming into the area and they all have to create their own septic design and their own septic system in order to
Right.
be
They're not
in
pad
that
ready.
area. Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot more development that needs to be done to that area. So so even though there's water, I think it's a lot to ask of a business to come in and start building up on, we call it the gateway, but are we really gonna find that many businesses that are gonna be willing to put that kind of money into a septic system to?
That's part of the funding for the RFP study, to find out that impact and what kind of tax revenue we could possibly get for our bang for our buck.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. May I just? That's what I'm saying, exactly that. So we're getting a grant to put laterals, to put laterals at several places underneath a road that we don't even know can sustain this project yet.
So I'm confused.
I
So
don't
you
understand.
want to give back the grant? You don't want to take the grant, free money?
Listen, I want
I'm
a
confused.
plan. No, this to me, again, is just another example, and we can get into an argument, but it's another example of not having a plan.
We do have a plan.
We don't even have an RFP for the feasibility study. We haven't done the feasibility study. They haven't given you information as to whether or not this is even a viable alternative. And yet we're going ahead with laterals under the road.
If they're not done now, they won't be able to be done later once they cement it down.
No, you can, but now you have to hire a company from down south to do horizontal borings under a finished road. And that's where the money is, and we've been told that's close to $7 to $8 million.
But we don't even have an idea other than what the Anchor Subaru gave us of 17 million. And to Mr. Zelinski's point, the escalation costs of that could be 20, $30 million. We don't know where we're getting funding.
I didn't say 30.
No, I'm saying that.
Oh,
It could be
okay.
20 or
Well, you
$30
said to
million.
my point. I didn't
Depending
say
on
that.
when. You said 5 to 10 years.
I didn't say that, okay.
You said 5 to 10 years before we can actually do this. So
If we had to
Point of order, I
open
think we
the
should
road.
stay on
Yes.
topic instead of getting back and forth
So,
into this
no,
food
I think,
fight.
I think it is on topic. He said 5 to 10 years. I'm saying, why are we going with a grant to install sleeves under 146, right? When we don't have a plan to determine if that is going to work.
I'll try to
The
sum
water
sum
line.
this up.
The water line.
The grant is to do engineering, to see where the sleeves could go. It's not a grant to put sleeves in. Okay.
Right.
Once that's attained, which the money has already been awarded to the town and to basically our sister communities, Woonsocket and Lincoln. I want to echo what Chairperson said. Are you saying you don't want the $150,000 to do engineering studies on 146?
Are you saying Woonsocket and Lincoln are going to be part of this project? They're going to
They
help us
already
pay
are.
for it?
No, not paying for it. They're going to benefit from it. Woonsocket's going
Oh.
to sell us the water. Is there a problem with getting water from Woonsocket? I'm not sure.
No, but I don't have an idea of a cost running water lines from where?
Dowling Village,
From Dowling Village to,
where Majestic Motors was, because that's just the town line.
okay, so to the Lincoln Town Line. So right now, we don't even know if we can do, now tax incremental financing is only good if you have projects that can offset the cost of your overall proposal. And we don't have anybody yet. We don't have anybody on the line. We haven't spoken to anybody, right? To come
Anybody
in?
as far as what?
Businesses to help us offset this?
Yes.
We've,
Lakeside Pools was at the State House. Anchor Subaru was at the State House.
okay, so there are two.
Yeah.
But then you have small houses along the way. Are we gonna talk to those houses? Are we gonna purchase them by eminent domain? Are we gonna purchase them?
No,
We're not talking about purchasing anything.
Well, how are you going to have a gateway? What's the gateway?
Okay, let me give it simply. After the rustic, there's like 4 or 5 businesses. You got a tree company, a dumpster company,
Yes,
a roofing company,
small company.
whatever. Do you think if there's water lines over there, you think that property is gonna be valuable?
Well, it'll be more valuable because they've had problems with their water, yes.
Okay, so if they sell, if somebody wants to come in and buy the 5 parcels to put a Costco, which was mentioned, which is too small, you don't think that they're gonna profit from that?
Yes, this is all
So,
hypothetical, though.
Everything is hypothetical, Paulette.
It really shouldn't be,
I-
which
I
is
can't
why
believe-
you're asking
I think,
us for a feasibility
Can I,
study.
can I step in? I think we should just get back on track. I don't disagree with
Well-
you, Councilwoman Hamilton, that it is hypothetical, but I think what they're asking for is 2 things. One, the Economic Development Committee is asking for something completely separate.
Which is,
And the administrator is saying something
right.
completely separate that may have some overlap or tied in terms of studying where can the water lines go. I don't think we need to take a vote on this from what I'm hearing tonight. But I think what's important is that it sounds like every other community is getting involved, but as a council, just tonight, I haven't heard any one of our state reps mentioned. I've heard other towns and other administrators and other things, and I do appreciate that the administrator's on it.
Well,
But I think that the council should have some insight into what's taking place in the town as well. I just think that would be common sense. I actually personally support the water line, all right? I just think it's a shame that we're not looking at sewer at the same time. It's unfortunate, that's all.
Well, I can answer the question about our own local reps. I contacted Jessica and Brian Newberry. It was through their efforts that we got Steve Casey. I also contacted Amos. I talked to their staff. They were supposed to get back to me. They never did. We've had, I think Mr. Zelinski talked to Senator Reed. That someone spoke to Senator Reed. I was under the impression at one of the State House meetings.
Senator Reed's office
Yeah.
is well aware of the efforts.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to reiterate again that Rhode Island Commerce Bank, Rhode Island Commerce Site Readiness does not grant $150,000 if they don't think it's a viable, if there's not merit to doing an engineering study.
I don't think anyone's arguing that there's.
Well, I just want to make it clear.
Right, I don't disagree with you. I don't think anyone's arguing that there's merit to adding the water lines. I just think there's 2 conversations happening here. There's what happens once we add the water lines, and what happens if we build it and people don't come. That's the other argument that's being made tonight. But I think I'm just going to try to keep us on topic. I think that's a separate conversation at a different day. I think we should accept the check, and we should keep going.
Thank you.
Can I just,
Thank
I
you.
mean, first of all, we can't vote on anything about moving forward with the grant because it's not on the agenda. And personally, I think with the economic development, until we have some sort of ruling from the committee, I really don't think we should be able to move forward because it's only one person from the committee coming forward and we should have a vote.
Well, we
that-
only have 3 people, so
But
that's,
the committee should be coming, there should be something coming forward that everyone agrees with it, because that's the reason we have a committee, right? So that we can vote on it and know that everyone's in support of it. So, and also, I think we should have more information coming forward so that we know what's going on, because we haven't heard anything since the last time you've been here. So, I mean, I personally think that we should hold off on this tonight until we get,
We can't do anything with it.
well, his we can,
No, we can't. I don't think.
discussion,
Well, the TIF.
discussion vote of other action.
Oh, so are we voting on the TIF? Because I thought we weren't.
Well, no, if I may, correct me if I'm wrong, Solicitor. You're not voting on the TIF because a majority of the Economic Development Commission did not review it and vote to send it to town council.
That's what I
Right.
just said.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right,
Well, yeah, well, you were
So
saying
you're
no
not voting
vote.
on that, you
Right,
can't.
so we're tabling it, we're
Yeah,
not doing
fine.
anything with it,
Perfect.
right?
but I came here to give you an update of
Appreciate
where we
that.
are, because
Okay.
you said you don't know anything.
I appreciate that.
I don't know if you want me to, every meeting we have, to give a report to you people. I don't know.
No, I don't
Well,
think it's on,
It might
sorry.
be helpful if we
Yeah.
had some sort of update. I mean, I don't know how often you meet, that you do have a
We,
quorum.
we've only had 1 meeting since the last time we were here.
Okay,
It's just so we had a member, she ended up quitting.
Okay.
can I propose something,
Yeah.
Madam President, that may be beneficial to all this? Maybe at some point in time, we should have maybe a joint meeting or something with the Economic Development Committee and get an update and talk about all of the questions of 146. But maybe we just add a standing item going forward for 146 water line, and if the administrator has an
think that's a
update,
good
he
idea.
shares it. If not, we just move on and
Yeah,
keep going.
I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Great
Counselor.
idea.
And even if you just send from the economic development, even if there's just like your minutes or some sort of
But see,
memo or
I
something.
don't think they can meet.
A couple of the members, I haven't seen them in 3-4 months. So I sent them a report of the first meeting we had. Then that's all they know. They don't even know because we don't have a meeting to do it, you know?
Okay.
I'd like to say that I'm a little surprised, just as you are. This is a no-brainer, if you ask me. This is as no-brainer as they come. I thought you were gonna come in here, give us an update. Applaud you. Mr. Zelinski gives us an update on the grant. It's a great idea. This is a no-brainer. If we put water down 146, it's crazy not to do it when we have the opportunity. And Mr. Zelinski secures a $150,000 grant, all the better. We were gonna have to do that anyway, if you ask me. But now, we have the grant to get this done. And the group of guys, the group of men and women that you put together to be at the State House, all good people, all working hard. If they get a hint that the town council doesn't have the appetite to go forward on this thing's gonna fall apart.
I agree 100%.
I agree,
I
Counselor.
think the whole
And just to
council.
let you know, and like Mr. Zelinski said, some of the people we forget, they had the Board of Health there. They had public drinking water quality there. They had DOT, they had the governor's office there. They had a Secretary of State. I've never seen so many, and it wasn't even a required meeting. It was just a get-together. It wasn't like they got subpoenaed to go to that meeting. I've never seen so many government officials in such a short time attend that meeting like Mr. Casey put together. It was incredible.
And we appreciate that, but most of us
Yeah.
didn't know about this readiness grant until just now, so.
Yeah.
I think,
Well, again, the grant is, like Councilor said, it's separate for what I'm bringing it forward. And I understand not to vote for it tonight because the commission didn't vote on it, but I wanted to let you know, that's why I came. Otherwise, everybody says, oh, don't worry about it, but because
No,
I was on the
thank you.
agenda, I wanted to come in and let everybody know. I didn't know if any one of you had approached Mr. Zelinski or somebody else to find out what the situation has been in the last 3 or 4 months. But again, a lot of this it's a last minute thing. We get a phone call at the we get an email like 3 days before to go to our Zoom meeting. That Friday, we had the Zoom meeting.
That's correct.
That was the day before. It was good news that Mr. Casey had.
Yeah, and again, just to say that I did not know that this grant was officially approved until 1/13 Friday. So there's no way to put it in your packet, so that's why I asked for you to amend the agenda so I could share this, what I consider wonderful information, with the town council.
Okay. All right, so we'll
Okay.
keep it on the agenda. And if
Okay.
you want to come up and give us updates.
Well, my plan is, and I've already talked to 2 members to have another meeting. I hadn't set a date yet, but we're trying to do it before your next meeting.
Okay.
May I ask them a question? What's I know, not the plan of the Economic Development Council, but what's the next plan of a meeting at the State House?
We don't know. We don't know. Again, Mr. Casey, Rep. Casey coordinates the whole thing.
What has to take place on our end to move this forward?
we could probably issue a resolution.
Oh, support, yes.
Yeah,
But let's get the engineering reports done. And as Mr. Byron said, I may paraphrase it, but if they get a whiff that the town council's not behind taking this $150,000 to do a study,
Yeah.
it was you, Councilman Beauregard. It's done.
I just want to clarify that comment, because if anybody's listening to that, they may think that's the case. My questions are just, I want more information.
Right.
I want to have a seat at the table in terms of discussing the future of 146 as it relates to today, to 20, as somebody that's going to live here for 40, 50, 60, 70 years. God willing, I hope that the area is developed accordingly. And I'm not saying that it's against anybody else, but I think it's not unrealistic to think that a sitting member of the town council should be, one, apprised of the information happening on 146, especially since there's so many participating parties, and two, should have a say in terms of what does the next step look like? Because it sounds like this step is situated, but in 5 years, are we going to go to sewer, or is it going to be like everything else in this town? We're going to complain about it, and then nobody's going to have any steps to move forward, and it's going to be, well, now sewer's $30 million, and we can't go forward with it, but we could have got this big development. So this is a project that it sounds like is multi-stepped and multi-layered, and I think if we don't plan and coordinate correctly, we may miss out on a whole slew of federal funds and state funds and other funds available to help with 2.0 and 3.0 and 4.0. That's all I want.
The other part of probably why there's more information not given out is because you're dealing with volunteers, Mr. Zowski, myself, whatever, most of the people, and the fact that we only know like a week before that there's going to be a meeting, and because we're trying to push everything quick through because of the window that DOT has given us. We have to, at first, the first meeting, they said, no way, you can't do it. We're not changing anything, we're not doing anything. Then through Mr. Casey's efforts, we had another meeting, yep, DOT is amendable to the laterals. So that's where we're kind of stuck at, because everything has to get done quick. At least as far as, and we still got to approach Lynch Construction to see if they're willing to do this. Because originally DOT says there's no change orders and nothing else in this project. And luckily now there is, so.
So may I? So I have a couple of, and I want to get this over with too, but I would have liked to have been notified that there was going to be a grant application made for that project during this discussion prior to, maybe just a note when we have grants on here that could have come up. I think that if we were to go with your proposal of putting laterals under, or deciding that they are feasible to put them there, and then a dollar amount comes up for that cost, I would like to know where we are getting that money.
Well, that's a good question, where we're going to get the money. And again, it's because of the short window. We don't know. It was estimated by, I believe, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, the chairman of the Lincoln Water Board.
Yeah,
He was the
big proponent of it.
Yes, and he estimated to do the, but again, at that time, we were only talking 1 or 2 laterals, and he estimated around $300,000 to $400,000 to run the laterals underground.
Worst case.
Worst case,
Okay.
yeah.
So I guess my thought is that would be, funding for that would be the next step before that goes
It
forward.
all comes about from the engineering study. So tomorrow, I'm going to graciously accept, on the behalf of the town of North Smithfield, $150,000 to do the engineering study, which will give us more information, where they go, how much, they're gonna look at ledge situation. That's what the engineering study is. So it'll give us a better idea of what the cost may be to put the laterals in.
One other report that was brought up at the first meeting, and that was through the Department of Drinking Water Quality. As you may or may not know, there are a lot of contamination on 146. Across from Taco Bell, that's all contaminated. Behind lakeside pools. So what she brought up is, what happens if we don't do nothing? If we do nothing, and a lot of either private wells or commercial wells get continued contamination, we lose that revenue. We lose that tax stream. And that's probably one of the things that this study that we brought up to you 3 months ago was going to also address. What happens if, when you talk about the hypotheticals. So you've got to look at those hypotheticals also.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Discussion by council vote or other action on Rhode Island Energy installation of pole at Iron Mine Hill Road. Mr. Pendergast.
Good evening. Ray Pendergast, Director of Public Works. You should have in your packet the petition from Rhode Island Energy to install a new pole at 182 Iron Mine Hill Road. I've approved this, and we just need this approved by you, the council, so that this can be recorded in the clerk's office.
And this is just a formality like we've done in the past?
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the work order for 182 Iron Mine Hill Road, work order 291-46401.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
If I could just ask a favor, Mr. Messalello is here for Bryden, if you could move him up. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so actually, discussion by council vote or other action on request to abandon a portion of Bryden Street, Assessor's Plat for lots 289 and 290, applicant Vincent Marcella. So, actually tonight, we can't do any action on this. The only action we're gonna do is to vote as to whether or not we wanna review at a future meeting with public hearing. Is that correct?
I think send it to the planning board.
Well, before you,
No.
the state law requires, assuming the council sees fit to go forward, you schedule a public hearing, has to be advertised for 3 successive weeks' notice to abutters.
Okay,
And at that public hearing, then the council has to make a finding that the road has no other useful life to the town. If they make such a finding, then the road can be abandoned. But today, it's only on the request of Mr. Manzalilla. You now take that request, schedule a public hearing, have to be sufficiently in advance so that you got 3 successive weeks of an advertisement, and that would have to be like,
August.
Valley Breeze, or, it doesn't say the Journal, so it'd be the Valley Breeze.
all right. So can we maybe,
Yeah, it says, right, it says, newspaper of general circulation, so that might not be the Valley Breeze. It might have to be the Journal.
No,
Is
it has,
it accepted,
it has
right?
been.
Because I know the state law changed it to local circulation, and that picked up all the local papers.
Yeah, they're local.
But the
so
law, this
Tammy,
law
do you
says
think like a
general.
date certain of August 5th? It gives enough time? Because we have to do at least 3 weeks, and we're on the 17th.
And Mr. Ingliosi, Joanne had mentioned that the 5th might not work with the 45 days with the planning board having to meet and respond.
So the 19th,
That works.
August 19th?
That would be the next council meeting after that. Yeah.
Okay, so date certain of August 19th?
That's fine. So that would be a public hearing, and it, we'll have to advertise 3 successive weeks in advance of that meeting, that public hearing. And notice to the owners that, when I say abutters, I'm the abutters of the road. We're not talking about a zoning matter, we're talking about the abutters of the road.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
okay, so we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Do we need
Ms.
to
Hamilton.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Do
sorry.
we don't have to have anyone speak, right?
No, but if Mr. Missler wanted to say something, you certainly could give him the courtesy, if he,
Yeah.
unless he's satisfied with that date and time and process, because
If you want to go to the,
Thank you very much. Vin Messalella, 27 Paddock Drive, Lincoln, Rhode Island. We're the owners of property located on Mendon Road, namely Lot 289 and 290. We're seeking a road abandon a portion of Bryden Street. I understand the process. I was told by the town clerk that the council would first have to decide whether or not they want to take up the matter, which is what I believe you're doing this evening. And if so, we would have to advertise 3 times in a local paper. I understand that if we get an ad in by the 27th of June, first week in July and the second week in July, we should be able to make your July meeting. That's what I understood from the clerk. I've already had a discussion about this matter with the town planner. I'm sure he'll advise the council on his position on that. So don't really have any testimony. I have all the answers to the questions if you want to ask me, but I understand that this was just a procedural matter for this evening with regard to whether or not you're going to take up the matter of the abandonment.
Okay. So we're
I mean,
gonna have it
any
scheduled,
questions you have, I'm happy to answer.
so we're gonna have it scheduled for August 19th.
August 19th?
Yep,
Okay, great.
all right.
Yes.
Is that?
Thank you.
All right, you're
And-
welcome.
We were in a vote.
We good?
Wonderful.
We were in a vote.
Okay, thank you
Yeah.
very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We were in the middle.
Yeah.
So where were we in the vote?
Well, just so we're clear, are you changing the date to Mr. Manzalillo's choice?
No.
No, August
Okay.
19th, no
August
change.
19th.
Nope.
Yeah.
See you August 19th.
Okay.
It's still gonna be August 19th, Mr. Manzalillo, that's what I'm hearing.
The meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you in August.
That's
Okay,
okay.
thanks, David.
No, it was confusing. All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on payment of bills. Does anyone have any questions on bills presented in your packet?
I do, just one.
Go ahead.
Page 11, under government capital, it is 1014800, and it looks like we're $116,376 over in that line item. I was just wondering what capital of projects we overextended.
Hallowell.
For the demolition?
That's all the change orders that we approved.
The demolition of Hallowell?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Well,
Anyone else have any other questions? Anyone make a motion to approve the payment of bills of $2,306,269.36?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Next one is discussion by council vote or other action on consent agenda. All items listed in this section are considered in one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless the council requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda. A, Town Council minutes of May 2024, and communications from Animal Control monthly report for May 2024, Smithfield Fire and Rescue monthly report for May 2024, Smithfield Municipal Court monthly report for May 2024, and Smithfield Police Department monthly report for May 2024. Would anyone like to remove any of these items?
Madam President, I don't want to remove the minutes of May 20th because I just
Yeah, we
don't have
don't have
them.
them.
So
No, they're
we'll
not
table
ready yet.
those, and then I'm fine with approving the rest of the consent
Okay.
agenda.
Okay, second?
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Old business, discussion by council vote or other action on status/progress report of specific items. Facilities manager, Mr. Ogier.
We'll just talk about the budget.
Okay. Next is municipal building review task force. Mrs. Hamilton, you want to speak on that, on the last meeting we had in regards to Eric Omni?
Yeah, so what we have, actually, it'll be one of the last items is just to have the administrator sign the letter of agreement that we had already approved at the Municipal Building Review Task Force to go in and do an assessment of the building and current standards for codes, and to give us a dollar amount as to what the cost would be to make the renovations.
Okay, thank you. Next item is discussion by council vote or other action on review and amendment of town charter before local question certification deadline of August 7th, 2024. Mr. Ogier?
Yeah, so I think we just continued this from the last meeting. I know I had put out there about looking to add or change with child a question to a town manager starting in 2028, and to look at potentially creating a question around staggering the council terms starting in 2026 from a 2 to a 4 year. But I think we left this open in case there was any other ideas that were to come up, that the solicitor could gather them, and then, you know, we could work on accordingly and have something for the council.
So are we gonna keep this on the agenda, or is this something, this is the last?
I think the intent is to get it in now, work something, and then come back in July,
Okay.
so we can keep it moving.
So what about the suggestion about what I discussed about the
Yeah, we can,
time between Election Day and
but the, yeah, I
inauguration
think that's
day?
on the list.
Is that on the list?
I haven't made a list. The
Well, I
council was
have,
supposed to
I have
provide the
one.
list tonight. That's the
Yeah,
way
I
it
think we
was
were just
supposed to be.
making sure if there's anything final, so I'll add
So
it.
that we would then go to work on it after this meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so just kind of like a last catch-up, in case anybody thought of anything instead of back and forth with David.
Okay. Is that it for that one?
Yep.
Discussion by council vote or other action on budget transfers. Mr. St. Ange?
So we have a few more. This will be the obviously, this is the last council meeting for the year. So this is all the last ones that we can do. We had saved up a bunch, so to start off, if there's any questions, we can go one by one, starting with administration.
Okay. Do you want to go into any detail on
Yeah,
this?
I'm, sure. So the administration, once we took 100 from travel, put it against the maintenance agreement, because it was just over minorly. It's a maintenance agreement with Conica. We had used it more than we anticipated. That department had used it more than anticipated. And Conica's fees have gone up a little bit more, which is something I'm gonna look into in the upcoming fiscal year to look at the contract and see if we can rebid, because this isn't the only department that it affected.
So with the increase of this contract, has that been actualized in the budget for this coming year?
Yeah, we've seen some of it, which you'll get a revised, the council will get a revised budget before the next meeting, but by Wednesday. Well, Wednesday is a holiday, so, worst case, Thursday morning. Regarding all of these last-minute transfers. But yeah, there's a bunch of other fees. There's also some things that were dug up from prior fiscal year and early this fiscal year that Conica had sent us some fees that they just were like, hey, you need to pay us. So, but yes, this is reflected in the upcoming budget.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion to transfer the $100?
I'll make a motion to transfer the $100 from travel administration to maintenance agreements to cover prior year invoice of $100.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes. The next one is town clerk.
So this was a typographical error within our Excel sheet. It was referencing the wrong cell, hence the $105. We were $105 off the calculation because it was referencing the prior year, not the current year. So we had caught it, obviously because of the overage, which is part of the reason why a new budget software would be nice. But that's what this is for.
Okay, make a motion to approve the $105.47 from postage to longevity.
It's a
For the
motion.
town
Is-
clerk.
Sorry. Is the motion, is it a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes. Third one is planning.
Same thing as the administration, just to cover the maintenance agreements with Conica.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the $100 from travel, excuse me, and planning to cover prior invoices for maintenance agreements in the amount of $100.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes. Next is Smithfield Police Department.
So I'll start at the top. So vehicle fuel, that as, I guess they've been using a lot more fuel than anticipated, so we wanted to cover that. Education and training, there was a couple of the officers that had gone for, that had gotten reimbursement for college courses. You know, they were quite expensive, so we wanted to cover that as well. Personnel equipment, there was things that was purchased that I guess they needed. So we're trying to cover that as well. And then overtime, one of the, if I remember correctly, one of the officers of Vila went to a different municipality. So we wanted to take the salary difference there and apply it against overtime for that. And then just to go over some of the sources. So Jerry Ann had found some money in the software and licenses for a company that we were paying as an off. We were paying them from August to July, so we're transitioning that so that we basically had more money in the budget. This upcoming year will reflect that change, so we had a little bit of money in software and licenses. We're pulling it into to cover all of the other items: vehicle fuel, education, training, personnel, and overtime.
So do we know what the personnel equipment is? Do you know?
I can look it up right now. Give me 1 second. So it's a lot of.
I'm sorry, was it a uniform?
That's a lot of miscellaneous things. I can run through a few of them.
Right, so it's a number of things related similar to what he's referencing to.
It's.
I just didn't know what personnel, you know.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't know you were asking the definition. Yeah, it's personnel equipment. I thought you were asking for exactly what it was.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a lot of miscellaneous items. I can always provide the council a report of what that was if they desire.
That's good, thanks. I'll make a motion to approve the transfer from, I'll go one at a time, software and licenses to vehicle fuel for $10,300, software and licenses to education and training for $7,200, equipment repair and maintenance for $4,000, to personnel equipment, $4,000, software and licenses to overtime, $2,500, salaries, $30,000, which is the overage from an officer that left, into the overtime line item for $30,000 for a total of $54,000.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes. North Smithfield Fire Department.
So the chief has gone through some issues with a couple of the engines, some unexpected issues. We had done a transfer earlier, a
Right.
few meetings ago. He had another issue that he didn't foresee, so we're trying to cover that. And this will be a topic that I had talked to the chief to discuss with the council during the budget adoption. As when the council receives their budget, they'll receive the line item as gray, because we increased it from between when the budget committee had presented theirs to when you'll be receiving yours. So that'll be a topic for the chief to discuss.
If I may, Madam, the accompanying information that the chief provided us did state that it's a sensor problem again, which is what you're saying, Anthony, but the thing that's concerning to me is the problem has also forced us to put the vehicle out of service.
So he has two engines and one backup.
Right.
One of them, if I remember correctly, he was leaning on the backup because one of the two main engines had sensor issues. Then the backup started, I forgot what the issues was with the backup. That's like crutching on it's barely being able to be driven. So the worst case scenario for what we had anticipated with the last transfer happened. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Make a motion to approve vehicle fuel, $2,000 to vehicle repair and maintenance for the North Smithfield Fire Department.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Building and zoning?
If you'll forgive me, I have to look this one up as to what caused it to go over. This one was quite close to right after the last meeting we had done, so I have to refresh my memory. Oh, this is because there's been more decisions that the building and zoning have had to have within their meetings. So Mr. Archambault has obviously, as we know, he provides services for the zoning board. They've had more decisions that he's had to build a zoning board for, hence the higher bill.
So should that be in the legal then? Should that be in legal
It-
instead of professional services?
It's for specifically the zoning board, though, through zoning.
Right.
And that's a discussion for during the budget adoption. We can switch that to legal, but then it kind of mixes as to what the, because when building and zoning official, when they look at how much they're charging for certain things, they are able to see that in their budget as to what's costing them, so they can forward that through to their permit fees and everything. So that's why I think originally this was set up this way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know they have a professional services line item, but if it is related to legal advice, I think it should go in legal, so that we'll have an accurate legal.
Yeah, we can always,
but
I can always put that as a
unless
note
it could
for
be something
the
else.
budget adoption. We can discuss that at that time.
Okay.
Switch it around.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve software and licenses for building and zoning, $794 to professional services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Highway?
So, nice tabling them together. So, again, there was unexpected issues with some of the vehicles under DPW, and some extra tree maintenance. We pulled some out of reserves, but we needed to compensate some of the extra charges by pulling out of the street lighting and the equipment repair and maintenance line.
Okay, and I'll make a motion to transfer from equipment repair and maintenance to vehicle repair and maintenance in the amount of $2,000, and also from street lighting, $14,274 to tree maintenance for a total of $16,274.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Sewer?
Last one. So there was some expenses with the printing that they do every year. If I remember correctly, there was, so Maura projects out how much the printing is going to cost, but there was an update that they had to undergo that they didn't expect to have with the barcode. Remember, we had the issue earlier on this year, so they had to reset the barcode that's on it, which costs money to have that redone. So they had to undergo that, which they didn't expect, to make sure that when you look at the back of your tax bill, it doesn't say, your sewer bill, it doesn't say taxes, it says this is for fees of sewer. So that's what this is for.
Okay, well, again, this says professional services. I'll make a motion to approve, but I think we should determine what professional services is uniformly across, all.
It's coming from professional services into supplies.
Right, but professional services, a minute ago was legal. So I just want to make sure that we have that professional services title consistently throughout the budget for either professional services or legal advice. That's all.
Yeah,
You know?
there's no legal expenses within professional services.
Well, the one we just did moments ago.
What's
unless I-
professional services?
You just said
Right,
that it
this
was
is for,
Assistant solicitor.
Mr. Archambault, who's the
yeah,
solicitor, the assistant solicitor, provided information. So that, to me, would be legal.
right.
And so if it's professional services, I think engineering, I think architectural, I don't think legal. Legal to me is another whole ballgame. So I just want to make sure that when we say professional services, we're consistent in our budget, so we always know what that line item is in every department.
Okay.
You know what I
So,
mean?
do you want us to create like a definition to communicate with the council as to what we include for professional services across all
I think
departments?
that's what you're asking for, right?
Yeah, well, I think it should exclude legal, is what
Okay,
I'm
that's what
saying.
you're
If
saying.
you
Okay,
want to
gotcha.
just leave it professional services, I can think of a million things
Yeah,
that
'cause there's a
fall
lot,
under
it's a
that.
catch-all for a lot of
But
things.
legal should be a separate entity
Okay,
unto
yeah.
itself, yeah. Okay, so I'm making a motion to approve professional services in the amount of $2,000, transfer to supplies in the amount of $2,000 for the sewer department.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on petition, Department of Transportation to install guardrails on Route 5 from Veterans Memorial Stadium to the Smithfield Middle School to address illegal parking. Mr. Biragad.
Yeah, as everybody knows, that there's, whenever there's a game at the field, that the parking at the field is not nearly adequate. So what ends up happening is people end up parking in the road. That causes a hazard to the drivers. It also causes a big hazard to the pedestrians. I was driving down there about 3 weeks ago. I was coming home, and it was a perfect storm because you had a Class A track meet going on, you had a softball game, a baseball game going on, and a tennis match going on. So they were the fields were being utilized. They did a great job with that. But what we didn't accommodate for is the amount of parking that would be necessary to when the fields are being utilized. So what are people naturally doing? They're parking in the street, and we've all seen it. This particular day, there was even a bus parked in the street. The best way to keep people off there, and some people will say, well, we should be ticketing. I don't feel that we should be ticketing parents $50 or $100 tickets just because they want to go watch their kids participate in a sport. I don't think punitive is the way to go. What we could do very easily is we could ask the state of Rhode Island to install a guardrail right along the road from the top of the hill, just past, I say, line it up with about the end of the football field to just before the entrance to the middle school. A guardrail there would eliminate all the parking that typically takes place on the street, or the street parking, and it would force people to park in the middle school. From the middle school, they'd have to walk up. The ideal situation is if we expanded the parking lot, but apparently that's not gonna happen. So the best solution, I feel, instead of ticketing people, is to block them from parking there with a guardrail. Now, I understand if nobody wants to see an ugly metal guardrail right across the street from people's houses and stuff. But if you look, there's also a guardrail at the middle school that runs parallel with Providence Pike. It's a wooden guardrail. And if you look, CJ you can take a look at the pictures, but obviously the camera is not working. But a nice wooden guardrail.
Where is this?
That guardrail right there is the guardrail that you see at Navigant Credit Union on the corner of Route at 116 and Route 7. They have a beautiful wooden guardrail there. It's just like the one that we have at the middle school.
I thought you said this was in town.
Well, no, that's the one. That's an example of the one that I took. But there is one at the middle school for the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I would like to petition the state a resolution saying that we're asking them to just, because it would be a state project, not a town project, asking DOT to install the wooden guardrail along Providence Pike in order to deter parking along the highway. It's very dangerous, a lot of foot traffic when people park there, and cars can only go by it that day I was going by at 7 miles an hour. I couldn't even go any faster. There's so much traffic and so many people walking on the road.
Madam President, Mayor, I support the idea of a guardrail. I know anybody looks me up, they know I live right near the middle school. My only concern is, I wouldn't say we should limit it to a wooden guardrail, only because I think they just replaced all the guardrails over on Route 7 as part of that big project to they're like a maroon color. But my only concern is that we put the guardrail in, and I've seen it with the NS Days fireworks, people will park in front of people's homes. They won't park in the middle school. And so my concern is then you have all the surrounding homes around there that now they have to, they have to deal with the extra traffic in front. And what if somebody blocks somebody's driveway? And so I think the guardrail is a step, but I think there needs to be more done. I've heard that there's a bid at the town. I haven't seen it. I don't know much about it. But I do think also fixing the walkway, I think we can all agree that walkway from the parking lot to the field needs some attention as well. And so I think if we do the guardrail, then I think we need to look at the rest of the area as well to make it friendly.
If we force people to park at the middle school, then we have to make it safe for them to walk up to
I don't
the
think
field.
they'll necessarily park at the middle school.
I can't see them parking along Providence Pike. The reason they park in the grass is because there is plenty of room for the cars, but you think that
They
would
might.
park in the road
I
in
think
front of
they
people's
might.
houses on
I've seen it.
on Providence Pike?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I agree with the guardrail though. I'll support it.
I have to say I don't agree with the guardrail, because now, people are looking out their windows and that's what they're looking at as a guardrail. And what's to say that people aren't gonna park even though there's a guardrail there? I mean, people are parking
They'd
there
be in the
right,
road,
excuse me,
right?
people are parking there right in front of a no parking sign. So they're parking there, they're looking at the no parking sign, and they just proceed to walk. So, I'm sorry, and it's not always just residents in town, it's out-of-state vehicles. I mean, now that Wide World is running the turf, I would say probably a lot more of those people aren't residents, and if they're parking on the street, we should have enforcement. Enforcement is the first way to start having these people not park on the street. And now, the other night when I went by, instead of parking parallel, now they're parking facing in, so now it's even more dangerous of a situation, because now they're backing out onto Providence Pike. They weren't even parallel anymore, they're just going straight in, and now they're
Yeah, that's
gonna
the way
back
to park
out
over there,
onto
right.
the highway,
Mhm.
right? Like, I mean, my mother lives on that street, you can't even back out, I mean, you live there, you can't even back out
Good luck.
on your street, from your road, from your driveway onto that road, because it's too busy. And now there was literally, I would say a good 10, 12 cars parked straight in it, and they're all gonna back out onto Providence Pike. So even if there's a guardrail, I just think they're gonna park in front of the guardrail, but enforcement, we have to enforce this. And all the capital money that's being spent, why aren't we creating a walk path with some lights up to the middle school? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't that, if that's where the parking is, then let's create the path so people can get there safely.
I don't think the lack of a path is stopping people from parking at the middle school.
Well, everyone's saying there's no easy way to get there, there's no access, the path isn't lit. So let's pave a path, let's put some lights. It could be a walking path, so when kids, are playing at the turf, the parents could actually walk if they wanted to, I mean, we're kind of like tippy-toeing around the fact that it's not being patrolled, and that's what needs to be done to start it, because once people start getting tickets, then people aren't gonna park there, but people are parking there because they're like, oh, it's okay, it's no parking, and nothing's gonna happen.
But if you put a guardrail a couple feet off the street, then it's gonna be impossible for them to park there in the first place. I don't think that we should be whacking parents $50 or $100 just because they wanna go watch their children go participate in a sport.
Okay, but they're putting themselves in a dangerous situation as well as others. Like, I've seen parents open their door on where the traffic is going by to let their kids in. Like, people are creating this dangerous situation. So we need to stop it. We need to say, yes, this is wrong. And if no one's gonna listen to the signs, or if someone sits out front and says, no, you can't park here, but there was someone sitting out front too, and people were still parking there. So
I saw that.
they're just giving the perception that there's a chair there, that they're gonna tell people not to park there, but they're still parking there. But it still comes down to enforcement. Until we start telling people they cannot park there, they're gonna park there.
Yeah.
And putting up a guardrail is kind of like, we're just finding ways not to enforce it. And it's just crazy. There's gonna be a serious accident, and then people are gonna say, well, you know, you always let people park there, no one enforces it, no one patrols it, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to start enforcing it.
Well, the problem is, if we start enforcing, if we have a game and we whack 30 people for parking in the street, and if they're from out of town, then they leave, and then the next game, those people, there's 30, 40 more people that never got a ticket.
But if someone is there, if there's a patrolman there, if there's.
Have them pay for it in the rental fee.
Right.
For a detail. My only other concern is not, sorry, Madam President, is people they'll walk on Providence Pike. So imagine now it's low lit. I mean, I've walked it, I've run it, I've almost gotten hit a few times. I understand the situation over there. But if it gets dark, it's happened before in this town. Somebody's walking on the side of the road. I've seen it at NS days as well. I've walked on Providence Pike in dark because it's just, that was the way. I didn't want to walk on the no lit trail. You could have a situation where somebody gets hit. So I think it just needs to be multi-stepped, right? I think the walkway, that field is, you're correct, John, it's used all the time. It's only gotten busier. So I think if the town, or if there is a bid out there, then we should look to figure out how do we get a walkway in there so that we can highlight, oh, it's easy access, instead of now you're just walking up around Providence Pike and coming in that way.
I guess my question is, do you think DOT would agree to putting in guardrails just because we ask? You know,
I think they could, even if we don't want it.
Like if they're you know, would they say to us, well, you know, why don't you try enforcing your own laws that you put up your own signs first of all? If that doesn't work, we can partner with you and try to. I think we should be working with the school department too, because you know they're the ones that primarily have the the custody of that whole location. And I don't see them coming forward to say anything about, you know, we'll help you, or have Wide World of Sports, have that be part of, you know, putting an officer or putting a traffic person or putting someone there, you know, or change the signage or put flowers there so they can't, you know, make it nicer instead of a, but I don't know that I don't know. I mean, maybe DOT will say, yeah, anybody will put some up anywhere. But most of the time, I think they need to do like a traffic study and to see if there's any safety issues that they feel, you know, would, you know, have there been accidents, have there, you know, that kind of stuff. You know how that goes. I don't know. But I think we're going to be doing it backwards. We're not, I don't know why we're not enforcing. And if we didn't give a ticket immediately, right? Maybe we would give warnings for the first time, you know, next time, now, you're gonna have to move your vehicle now, and please, next time, don't, you know, come here, okay. And I think eventually, people would get used to the fact that that piece of property is not an extension of the parking lot. It isn't, really isn't.
Or they'll park across the street.
I don't see that happening. I mean, will one person, two people do it? You can't stop that, but overall, I don't see it happening.
Well, you can stop that because there's signs.
I see
So
cars.
if we have presence there, people aren't gonna park there. I mean, it's just, even if we're not ticketing, at least have some presence there that, you know, there are police there and you're not supposed to be parking on the street. It's for everyone's safety. But if we don't have any presence and everyone's constantly doing it and not getting ticketed or not having, you know, a warning, then you're gonna keep doing it. I mean, we're basically tacit approval. We're letting it happen, so.
It's past practice. They park there because other people have parked there, and they have always parked there.
Right, and no one's ever
Make it
gotten a
right.
ticket or asked to move or towed or, you know, or ever gotten an accident or, so, yeah, it's just we're on borrowed time before something happens, and I think the first prevention of this is having some sort of presence there or enforcement, or at least let's start trying it, see if it cuts down, but.
Well, I don't think a barrier would be an eyesore to the people across the street. That shouldn't even be a factor, especially if you're stopping somebody from, preventing somebody from getting hurt. If you don't think that there should be a barrier there, you wanna just go with ticketing, then you don't support this. However, DOT doesn't need our permission to put a barrier up there if they choose that they wanna put a Jersey barrier up there. I mean, a guardrail up there.
Yep.
But I think it would be nice if the town had a resolution saying that we're requesting that they do something to help us with the parking situation up there. I don't think, like I said a million times, I don't think ticketing parents is the way to do it.
Well, I mean, we could ask them to help us, you're right, come up with a solution. And if it is a guardrail, then we'll all be part of the decision. You know, maybe they have suggestions on things for, you know, egress and whatnot out of different locations. It is a state road.
I would be happy to amend that to say that we were looking for DOT's help in coming up with a solution to the parking situation over there. If they don't, I don't know what they're gonna come up with other than a barrier of some kind, of some sort, but.
I think it's important, I agree with keeping it open, just because if for some reason they can't put a guardrail in, I know sometimes they can't squeeze them in for whatever reason, then at least it's still open that we're still looking for something. But I do think that,
Work together.
you know, if there's concern about enforcement, then I think maybe, you know, if it's a private organization or a private event or something, maybe there needs to be some type of detail hired. I mean, I know it's required in some things, maybe that's just a requirement so that at least there's somebody there just to remind, hey, there's no parking here, you know?
Yeah.
So, without necessarily ticketing.
Oh, and just as far as aesthetically, there are sometimes, what's the football,
Express?
group? Express, they put out tape, so I think a barrier is a lot more attractive than yellow tape. But, yeah, I would be more than happy to amend that request to say that we're just requesting DOT assist us with finding a solution to the parking problem over there. And they may come back and say it's a barrier.
Madam President, if and when the council votes, I'd like to have time to present it. You know, you're gonna need to make a resolution that goes to the state. So I'll gather what you're saying, create a resolution, put it on your next meeting.
Okay.
That's sufficient?
Okay,
You kind of see where we're going with this?
I do, but I just, DOT is gonna want something signed by the town saying, this is what we're asking.
That makes
So
sense.
you're looking for some
Yeah.
sort of guidance, and it will be really, might just get referred to the state traffic safety commissions where it usually ends up.
Sure.
But we'll send it there we'll send it to everyone. there.
Con-
Everyone.
Councilors, I believe you've received correspondence from Mr. Girton in which he talks about state reps and state senators asking them to conjoin with this resolution. So that's something to consider going to the Rhode Island Department of Transportation.
So the resolution would be addressed to the Senate, the House, the Governor, State Traffic Committee, and Rhode Island DOT, asking for, now you're saying assistance with safety and parking issues along a state highway from such and such. So
Right.
we just need to identify those poll numbers. You know,
I can get that for you tomorrow.
the two poll numbers, from poll number X on Route, is that Route 5? To poll number Y, and then DOT will send a team over, understand what's going on, and then.
Yeah, they may say, you know, enforcement is the best thing. I mean, why are you not, you know, so,
Yeah, we'll just see what they say.
Draft a resolution for the council,
and let's talk.
then you call it your reps and send it, and then ask them to.
So do we have to make a motion for you to draft a resolution?
Yeah, I would do that, just so that I can
Go ahead,
draft
John.
something. I got the general concept is both traffic and safety concerns and no parking concerns. We're not asking for a specific result. Including but not limited to.
Right, including but not limited to any type of barrier.
Do you
Is that
want
the
to keep
motion?
that language in there?
Yeah.
All right, so you'll see the resolution, we can always make a modification if you don't like it on the night.
Thank you.
Okay,
But I'll draft something for the council to actually vote on.
okay.
So I guess that would be your vote, for me to draft a resolution for the council's review, discussion, and action.
So you made a motion?
Yeah, that's the
right?
motion.
I'll second it.
So you did that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on legislation opposing the proposed Rhode Island Healthcare Payment Act S 2722 and H 8072. Mrs. O'Hara?
Point out whatever real quick, not to cut you off.
Okay,
but,
no, that's fine.
I'm just gonna recuse myself for work-related purposes, so.
Oh.
I work in
know.
healthcare, so I'm recusing myself, thank you.
The House and the Senate have said, resolutions would put an extra $4,000 for medical care per family. It would also tax cities and towns because they'd have to pay each family that much more. And the reason they gave is, we should be charging as much as Connecticut and Massachusetts, because they charge more, and it's not fair. Well, number one, they're the top 10 as far as what they earn. If I'm reading it correctly, Rhode Island is not. And it will tax each city and town tremendously to cover that. And if there's co-pays, et cetera, it will hurt them tremendously. And there's another one out, which I will make sure you know about, that they want the hospitals in Rhode Island that are failing. They want Rhode Island to bail them out.
No, which she's talking about.
Is that? That's the second one. I don't have it with me.
Is that on the agenda as well?
No, I will get that one to you, and I'll have
Alright.
copies of it.
So we can just talk about the two on the agenda.
Yeah, so those two, if you call your reps and tell them that out of your pocket, not just whomever you're working for, will cost a family of four an extra $4,000. Which per month would be a lot of money, at least from my pocketbook it is. And they've said practically nothing. I don't know if you've gotten yours in the mail, but someone's been sending me every bill that's being passed in that State House that affects the middle-class person.
Claire, so you're saying that if these pass, then it'll cost the average Rhode Island an additional $4,000
Yeah.
in medical bills?
Yep.
Medical fees?
Yep, and it'll cost cities and towns, because again, some people have deductions, other people don't. But it'll cost small businesses right across, cities and towns, as far as coverage. And the reason is, we will have to be like Connecticut and Massachusetts, and that's in black and white.
Okay. You have another item, Claire?
Oh, okay.
Does she want to do
Can-
anything on, is it?
Could I carry that over to next time? I really have a headache. I had an accident today, so.
So you want to table
So
the
that's-
rest?
Yeah,
The
yes,
H?
please. Would that be
Okay.
okay? It's on the same page as
Sure.
H.
Think so?
Okay.
So does she want any action on J?
No, she wanted people to know about it.
Okay.
Oh, that was G, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so J we're tabling?
It is
H.
Oh,
H.
H?
H.
H,
Oh, sorry, H, yeah. So
as far as protocol.
H you're tabling?
Yes. And I'll have it put on the next agenda.
I'm sorry?
I will have it put on the next agenda.
All right, so, discussion by council vote or other action on permission for the town administrator to sign for an executable price for electricity. Mr. Sainaj?
So this is similar to what we did for the gas, I think Q2 of this fiscal year, but it's for the electricity. Same company, but it's channeled through instead of Direct Energy, it's Constellation, who was on the MPA. You can see that in the packet, there's the contract, but there's also a presentation. To begin with, there's a presentation from Power Options that explains the history and goes into pretty deep detail on energy usage and what the market looks like. Then, a little bit in, about midway, I have Wednesdays, as of Wednesday, pricing on 12-month, 24-month, 36-month, and 48-month contract with Constellation and Power Options. So I'm asking just like we did with the gas, council decides not to exceed amount. We find the latest price, whatever that is. The latest price that I have as of 8:06 a.m. For 12 months was 115.5. 24 month was 115.45.
I'm sorry, what is it?
The pricing of the
Yeah.
electricity
Yeah.
from this morning.
Right.
I just didn't hear the number, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, so 115.5,
Mhm.
115.45, 115.03, and 116.26. So that's 12 month, 24 month, 36 month, 48 month. So the council can decide on what the term will be and not to exceed price. So as you can see though, based on the trend of the graphs that's provided,
Mhm.
it's starting to tick up again. We had a low for a little while, but the pricing ticked up. I'm not versed well enough in the energy business to know if it'll go back down, but we're just trying to lock in a price for a while as we don't have a price right now. We're not in contract. I looked into our records, the last time we were in contract, our contract ended 2017. I couldn't find anything newer than that for electricity.
So who do we just have, New England?
Last contract was with Direct Energy.
Direct Energy?
But this is, Power Options has been vetted by the League of Cities and Towns, and Constellation is on the MPA. So it's
Okay, so
legit.
I'd make a motion to do the 24 months for 115.45.
Second.
Just a question, what are we currently paying, do you know? What was the current bill?
It's all based on usage. We don't have a set amount right now. I think last time when I was talking with Power Options, I want to say it was around 111, but that was a couple months ago. It's pretty, as we know, it's pretty volatile. But this will lock us in for quite a while.
Well, we must have this is electricity, we must have a per kilowatt charge, don't we?
Yeah, like I said, what's coming to mind is like 111 and change, high 111. I was gonna run upstairs and look really fast, because I knew that was gonna be a question, but I didn't
But
have time.
it's better to lock it in. I mean, if we don't have anything, we haven't had anything since 17, that's crazy.
Yeah, according to what's in the drive, I haven't found
Mm.
anything.
Okay, thank you.
So the council would want to, just to reiterate, so the council would want to lock in 115.45 as the cap for 24 months.
So we have a motion and a second.
Mhm.
Is there any further discussion?
Just an authorized signature.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry, and I'll amend to allow the administrator to authorize the administrator to sign the contract for the 2 years. Excuse me.
All right, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on penalty and adjustments.
Give me 1 second. Okay, so, I have to pull it up, sorry.
Is your mic on?
It should be.
It
I
is?
just wasn't
Okay.
speaking directly, thank you,
Just-
directly into it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have, so I excluded the, anything from 10-year, for one of the businesses, I excluded anything from 10 years ago and newer. So anything that's 10 years and older is on here for some of the businesses. So, as you can see, we have 31,390.07 for this adjustment. Through the entire fiscal year, we have 105,831.83. That's including the deceased rather, which again, in terms of our collection rate, 98%. This takes, we actually budget for about 200,000 of adjustments, so we're not far off from half.
So does
what
the
we
one,
normally-
may I, I'm sorry, does the 105 include the 33 that you've presented to us tonight?
It's concluding that,
It's
correct?
included in that?
Mhm.
Thank you.
And these are, again, just to reiterate, these all get sent to MCA. They do their due diligence, they figure out if they can collect any money on it for us and for them. And these are all ones that were sent back saying that there's no way to
Okay.
get money and or it's just too costly to continue to pursue.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the penalty adjustments in the amount of $33,149.67.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Excuse me.
Do we have a process in place so that things aren't getting as old to work on them? Because some
Yeah,
of the-
MJ, my tax collection clerk, she goes through every so often. It gets flagged, but she also goes through every so often and pulls these, gives them to MCA, Municipal Collection Agency, and then, like I said, MCA comes through. We did, when Cynthia, the previous finance director, had set this up, there was a big influx of revenue from MCA, but obviously we're starting to see a slowdown. We're starting to see the ones that aren't collected coming through, so we have to write those off. So yeah, we have a procedure in place.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
The tax adjustments, also you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the amount of $1,759.60. These are for deceased individuals, correct? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve $1,759.60 in tax adjustments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Thank you. Oh,
Mrs.
yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yeah.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Okay. Discussion by council vote or other action on request to authorize the town administrator to sign Signal Works update building assessment for the Smithfield Police Station and to send $5,500 retainer to begin the project. Ms. Hamilton?
Yeah, this is option 2 that was approved at the last Municipal Building Task Force meeting, and we did not have the contract in front of us for signature. We didn't authorize the administrator to sign, and it was recommended by the solicitor that we do that this evening.
Can I ask a question? So, just for my own clarification, just to make sure I'm following correctly. So, this is only step 2 of 3?
This can be only step 2. It
Right,
doesn't
but
have to be. Yeah, we had 1, 2, 3.
He presented 3 options,
Correct,
right?
yes.
So this
Uh-huh.
is step 2,
Yep,
which is
period.
40,000, and then there's a step after.
Right.
Does he anticipate the plans to change significantly in all these visits? I know a lot of the scope, there's a
No.
lot of things not included, like the preliminary regulatory review.
Right.
I don't think there's much engineering included in here in terms of civil engineering. There seems to be add-ons. And, you know, I know there's no security IT
Yeah,
assessment.
he is going to do
which
security.
I know we're
IT.
going for grants,
Yeah.
or looking to go for
Mhm,
grants, so I
mhm.
think that cost might be pretty important. So I guess I'm just trying to figure out for this, do we think that the plans are gonna change significantly from what was presented 10 years ago?
No, I don't think so. I think what we're going to find is what the, what we have as far as, oh, I can't think of the word, when you, I'm completely blank.
It happens.
When you have to follow codes, the codes. Jeez. So I think it probably won't really, Councilor, change that much, but it'll give us today's dollar amount as to what we can do moving forward and to try to get this wrapped up before the end of the year. So he could have this done probably during the summer.
So that part will take place in this step? Because I thought
Mhm.
all that happened in the 3rd step.
No, this step.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the discovery.
I don't think this is the cost. And then how much would step 3 be again? Just out of curiosity.
Well, we didn't,
'Cause I don't think we budgeted.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, because we didn't approve it. The only thing we
Right,
approved was the second phase, and it was not to
I'll have
exceed
that on
50,
sheet.
so.
There was a walkthrough recently, wasn't there?
No, walk around.
Oh, then you go through, then you go in?
No, it was just the,
That was just,
Tecton?
yeah, it was just the punch list for Tecton and Dubon, just to go and look at the landscaping and, you know, look at what they did on the building. And I think all they said that was left was they had to power wash, and then they would start working on the, to complete the landscaping that they had taken out while they, or basically, you know, kind of had to take out while they were doing the front of the building. So they talked about that and when they would be doing that, and also the monument, you know, when that would be back up.
and lighting.
And lighting, yeah.
Yeah.
But the railing was done last week, and it looks really good. The handicap
Oh, yeah.
ramp,
Mhm.
the railing was all, I don't know if it was blasted or power washed, but all the bad paint came off and they repainted it and stuff.
Okay.
And then Dubon, there's one corner that it's, the ramp is black, but there's one corner of cement that is just cement color, because I guess it kind of broke off, so they repaired that. So Dubon's, that's part of his last few things too, is he's just gonna hit that with the black paint to make it all match, so it doesn't stand out. But it looks really good. They did a nice job. But that was a couple of weeks ago when we had talked about doing that, site inspection. It was kind of just to complete it.
Okay.
This will be funded from the previous sources, correct?
I'm sorry?
This will be funded from the previous sources of past, right?
Mhm.
Okay, just making sure.
And then, Tony, in your role as the purchasing officer, agent for the town, does this meet? Have you reviewed this? Has it checked all the boxes? Does he?
I have not
is he
reviewed it.
on the MA and MPA?
I tried looking them up on the MPA, and I couldn't find them. However, from my understanding, this is using the mapping. Sorry, I'm not familiar with architectural terminology.
So it's his drawings that
His
he
drawings.
did back in
So-
2016.
Right, he
Mhm.
transferred it to this company, which means only
This-
this company has it, and if we were to go to somewhere else, it's
We'd
gonna
have to
be,
start over.
who knows how much more money.
Right, we
So
wouldn't be
that-
able to use them.
Right, so that checks the box of sole source
Okay, that's
for
what
this
I was
company.
Okay, thank you. So I'm looking for a motion, I'll make a motion to have, authorize the town administrator to sign the contract with Signal Works for option 2.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second.
Discussion, it is a lot of money. So I'm just concerned with this fee doesn't include detailed design, construction documents, construction advising, and there's a lot of gaps in just looking at this contract.
Well, all we asked him to do was give us a dollar amount of what it is in today's dollars with
But he
up to
did that.
code. Up to code. No, they gave us an escalation. That wasn't him either. That was his estimate.
Right, and so I guess,
Mhm.
I don't think I'm explaining it. I thought when this was first presented, that he was gonna, Signal Works was gonna come back on option 3 and present the final cost estimate, because we're only paying for one more cost estimate in this
Only
contract.
if we approve that.
Right, so,
So we're getting a cost estimate out of this option 2. If we want to go further with him, we can. If we don't, we don't have to.
I
So
just feel like
anything-
if we're committing $40,000, there's no turning back at that point. I mean, we can't keep funding study after study on the police station.
Well,
That's
we
only my
can't move
concern.
forward without the study. We can't. It's just like this RFP for the 146 thing. You can't figure it out unless you get the study done.
Right, so I guess I'm looking at item 3 on his terms, right? And I don't know, maybe I missed it, so somebody can point it out, but it just says surveying, geotechnical, structural, civil, mechanical, electrical, engineer are not included in bold. In this proposal, unless noted otherwise, see scope and description. It's an add-on, and I don't see it added anywhere for
Okay,
a
but
fee.
We had only approved, all I'm asking is for the approval of this particular option. If we want to go further, we can. If we want to take what he provides us with and utilize those plans that we'll have to make some adjustments to that department, we can. We don't have to do option 3.
See, I kind of, going off what Doug was just saying, originally, when we were talking about this, I thought it was a good idea, because I spoke to the chief about the plans, and the chief, and that was the reason why I agreed to go with the Studio Major plans, is because the chief said that he and then Chief Reynolds are the ones that went around and with Studio Major and went over exactly how things should be, and then the plans, they basically came up with the layout, and Studio Major created the plan on paper. But it seems like we're getting into the point of no return with this guy by dribs and drabs. Like, all of a sudden, we're gonna be into it for 40,000, and eventually it's gonna get to a point where we can't go back. We're gonna be like, oh, we're into him for this much money now. Now we're kind of stuck with him at this point. And I don't think that this is the guy to go with, who has never had an experience building a police station.
So what we're getting with this is I'll read it again, looking at the 2014 facility assessment, looking at the 2016 plans, the 2016 bids, the 22 Tecton proposal, 22 Tecton renovated, the 22 Tecton Police Department needs assessment, the 2023 Bushy repairs and improvements bid docs, that where an architect will visit the site to confirm prior assessment and current conditions. That's really important. Nothing has been done in that building for 10 years. Engineers to base their work on prior assessments, 3D Matterport scan of site for project records. Initial meeting with a person of contact, key stakeholders, present preliminary findings from the building assessment, color-coded diagram, scope list of possible scopes. And again, he's gonna put together, do you wanna do a whole project, or do you wanna do it, remember we had said maybe we have to do it piecemeal because we won't be able to get the funding for it, and we were told by the voters that we're not gonna go with the $17 million. Then, second meeting with person of contact, present separate scopes for each work package and diagram, present new basis of design, presentation package of scope, and then cost estimate of each package. So it's gonna be very comprehensive. You'll get full schematic design, construction documents, bid documents, one round of pricing is included.
But didn't Tecton already do this? That's what and I've said it at the MPR table, so I'm not saying anything that's new here, but I think the last meeting, it was 4.3 or 4.8 or whatever it was, and Tecton was within $500,000.
But they never did just a renovation, they did a
But they
renovation
did.
with
If you strip the addition, it was 4.8
Right, but
or
even
4.3, and he was the other way.
Okay, well, if you wanna have them do it, they're gonna charge you.
I'm not looking to.
Again.
Well,
No,
we
no,
already
but I'm
paid for
saying-
them, but I'm not.
No, but we paid for him,
I'm
and
not
we
looking
paid
to
for
That was the
argue
problem,
with
we
you,
paid for
Paula.
him.
One of my other questions is, in Project Discovery, there's no building assessment report included. Shouldn't that be included? And what is the fee? Is it part of the 40,000?
Yes, it is. Yes, he's gonna do a building
I just want to make sure that if we
assessment.
move forward with this, we're
Right.
actually doing what, if the vote was a mandate to do it cheaper, then we're actually doing it cheaper and not spending another $100,000+ on a study to say,
Right.
well, we can't really go forward with that because it's another $14 million. I mean, Gloucester's in the same situation. It's
Right.
a little bit different, I know, but it's not cheap, so.
No, but if you have Tecton or Signal Works move forward, you're still gonna have to pay them to do this type of work, to provide you with, the current situation and the current costs. Because they escalate all the time.
Right, yeah, about 5 to 7%.
Yeah.
I mean, we
So,
can,
it's up to you.
if we want to have a MVRTF meeting and have Mr. Army come so we can ask questions so we feel comfortable with this, we can do that.
What about Tecton? I mean, did they even have an opportunity to give us a number on this?
Well, we did this because we already have the
Right.
architect drawings, and if we can't use those drawings if we go with someone
somebody
else.
But then I think we had Tecton drawings too, didn't we?
Go get them.
No, I'm just,
I have taken this as far as I can, and I'm being very honest with you, and I think that we haven't looked at that building in a long time. Now, even with Tecton having gone in, there will still need to be some revisions made to their work, so there will be costs associated.
No, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
And it's like I said at the budget meeting, there's no line item to fund
Right.
maintenance over there. So I just want to make sure that if we're going to commit to a dollar amount, that the plan can be executed. I don't want us to spend a lump sum of money again, and then we're in the same situation where it just falls by the wayside, and now we're back to square one again. So that's just some of where my concern's coming from.
Yeah. Well, I know that it'll delay it further, and we'll never get this done by November, so that was my goal.
Well, can we,
Yeah, and I understand your concerns, but we also, at the meeting, we all agreed that let's look at his plans, let's talk to him so he could move forward, and now, you know, we're always accused of not moving forward and stalling, but now we're trying to move forward, and now we don't wanna move forward, when we all agreed that we should look at these plans, cause they're already done, see where we can go with them, and now that we're at the place to go forward, we don't wanna move forward, so we can,
Make a motion, I
We-
made a motion.
we are done our contract with Tecton, so we'd have to get into another contract with them.
Yeah.
And their plans included a renovation and an addition. So whether or not they'd have to redo another set of plans, I guess we'd have to talk to them, but I thought we were all in agreement that this is the way we were going, and now we're not really sure, so.
well,
I guess we need to kind of have a discussion, maybe we need to have an MVRTF meeting so we can, whether we want to have Mr. Army come, we want to have Tecton come, I guess we need to decide what we're gonna do.
I just want to, I'm just clarifying, because I've said it all along at every MBRTF meeting. I want to make sure that the plans are up to code, and I don't see language in here that addresses it, so that's my concern.
Let's talk to him.
And my other concern is that, you know I asked about RFQ, which he's a sole source, so that's been satisfied. But, you know, if we're starting to spend significant amounts of money, and we're moving away from the conversation with the chief, and everybody sounded like we were just gonna take the plans, add a Sallyport, okay, the EMA office isn't there, maybe we'll add something there and run with it. But if we're meeting with stakeholders, and we're looking at the space, and we're reconfiguring things, at what point does it make sense to go back out for an RFQ? I know you don't have to, but that's what happened, that's how we got Tecton. Like, I just wanna make sure that we're doing it, we're not just spending money, and I don't want us to spend a ton of money just to find out that we can't go anywhere. I mean, it's only my concern. I don't think there's enough. I'm looking at what's included on this for 40,000, and I just don't think it's clear. That's all.
Okay, so how do you wanna move forward? Do you wanna have Mr. Army come in? Do you wanna have Tecton come in? Do we wanna start from scratch? I guess we need to kind of think about where we wanna go then, because we're kinda
I don't think we need
at
to
that
start
point
from
where
scratch. I think maybe it would be beneficial to bring Eric in. I'm fine to meet with him next
Where are we
week.
gonna go, because we're kinda at that point that we need to make a decision which way we're gonna go.
Well, if I may, we have right here the breakdown of what how he arrives at $40,000, $950. If we had another company, if we added onto this, item number 5, and the item number 5 was, provide a set of plans. If they could provide a set of plans and still be within that $40,000 range, give or take, then it would be competitive, right? And maybe Tecton would be, if they knew that there was a bigger, potentially of a bigger job at stake here, that they would provide the plans that and still be within striking distance of that $40,000 number.
No, the bigger job can't be more than $3 million.
I don't think you can get there.
I'm telling you.
That's my concern.
What Eric will help us do is determine if we can, with what we have, and not going out to bond, and not going back to the residents, for X amount of dollars, what can we do with that money? And this is what we've been talking about all along. We've been saying that, we have to get our financial advisor and ask him how much we can take out before it impacts our bond rating.
Well,
Either that or go back to the voters and put it back on the thing.
But isn't that exactly how we got into this mess in the first place? We came up with a number of what we could afford before we came up with a number of what it would actually cost.
No,
And then
but
we backed into the project, and that's how, this was happened prior to, you know, back before 2016, and then we backed into the project with the number that we could afford, not the number that we had that, to get it done right. And that's exactly what it sounds like we're doing right now. We have $3 million, or what can you do for $3 million? It's like,
well, I mean, John, what's the alternative? I mean, how would you do it? You'd go back out to bid, you'd send it back out to the voters, you'd ask them again, okay, we didn't, you know, you don't want us to do 18 million, you don't want us to do, I mean, what do? We can't go back out, right? We have X amount of dollars in our unrestricted fund. If it doesn't affect our bond rating, we can make major, you know, incremental improvements to that building. We have $1,270,000 something in grants, right? And I asked the administrator the other day about a $500,000 grant. He said he was still waiting on it. That could be added onto it. So you're talking, you know, $5 million, give or take, you know?
has the chief ever supplied us with the needs and the wants? Like, we need a Sally Port, we need
Yeah,
this,
he
we need
wants
that.
the Sally Port.
Or that's a need, that's an absolute.
Yeah,
has
he
to-
wants the Sally
So then we
Port.
base it off,
And he wants the municipal court back, and he wants new,
Well, that-
new toilets, and he wants to have the, you know,
the cell block move.
I mean, he wants some basic things that are important, and we don't, I don't, maybe you do, know what the codes are right now for those things. That is a renovation, it is an upgrade, it isn't a new building. So we have the information for the new building, we don't have any, you know, current coding for this, but, I mean, bring him in if he'll come back. I don't know if he'll come back, but.
But isn't that a problem, though?
Let's go.
Paula, isn't that a problem, though?
What?
Like, he wants a $5,500 retainer to be applied as a credit. He wants it's a $50,000 contract, because you're gonna use all the ad alternates to do the site assessments and everything.
Sure,
And then he wants probably another additional, I think it was $80,000 to complete step 3, at least in terms of the initial estimates. It was significant cost. Shouldn't he be willing to come back to answer questions?
Of course he'd come back, but he was very rudely spoken to the last time, you know what I mean? So, I mean, if I were he, I don't know that I would come back. But anyway, well, we certainly can ask him.
I just think before we lock in it, we just need to know, that's all.
I'm telling you, I'm done. Somebody else can take over, because I have taken this as far as I can. I said I wanted to get it done before I left. I want to get it done before November, and there's a change of councils, and the council coming forward may not have the same passion about this that we have, and we'll find ourselves in the same situation 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And that's it. So we can,
So
I
I'll
can
ask one more
certainly ask
question.
him.
What is his whole timeline look like? Because like I know at the last
He said he
MBITF, I
could
asked
get
for a
it done
Gantt chart from
before
beginning
the
to
summer.
end. What would it
By
look
the
like?
end of the summer, he said.
Even through step 3?
No, step 2 is all we approve.
Right, but we keep talking about finishing it. So how do we get to a point
All
where
right,
it's
you
execute?
know
You
what?
see where I'm going though?
I'm gonna have him call you, and then you can talk to him and feel either comfortable or not, getting directly from him what the limitations of this are versus
I would
what
feel
you're
comfortable
looking
if
for.
he didn't just call Doug, that if he spoke to all of us.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll have to, why don't we have a
Alright, let's do
meeting
that.
and have him come here, and hopefully we can all be civil to him and, have him answer questions, ask the questions, if, get into it, into the whole timeline and everything that he's gonna produce in every step, and that way we feel comfortable, and if we don't feel comfortable at the end, then if we wanna go out to somewhere else, then that would be the council's decision.
And maybe it's just, I just don't understand why we have to do 2 separate steps.
Because we didn't wanna spend the money. We made that decision, not him.
Right, so if we can find a way
We
to.
said, let's do,
merge
okay, and I
steps.
remember you said it too, let's just do 2. Does it
Oh, I
commit us
said
to
it.
do 3?
Yeah, no, I said it. I'll
Does
own
it commit
it.
us to do
I said
3?
it.
And I said, no, it doesn't.
I did
It's
say it.
just
I also
commit-
don't think you should multi-phase it, because you're gonna end up in the same situation, but.
Right?
I-
And he's gonna
We've
give
never
us
done
both
anything like this
in this,
before.
whether multi-phase or single.
Can we
So, I
agree
mean,
to
Yeah, it's
a
just-
meeting date, and we ask him if he can, come to it?
That's all. And I'm not saying I won't support it, I just want to make sure that,
It's gonna delay it now, a lot.
Well, if
So, you know, that's the problem, but that's what we do.
so let's
We
see,
delay.
let's see if he comes, we can get him to do 2 steps instead of 1 and save some time.
Okay.
I mean, he shouldn't have to do a lot of work.
Do we want to set an MBRTF meeting? So that we can discuss the contract for Signal Works.
You want to find out when he's available first, or?
President, just a point, I mentioned this to Councilwoman Hamilton, and she said this was the way you did it, but if the council makes the MBRFT and a council meeting a joint meeting, then you can meet, you don't have to bring it back to the council per se as a recommendation. I know you're one and the same, but the way you advertise it and post it is critical.
Okay.
The public should know that the council is meeting as the MBRFT, and is also gonna meet at the council, which means you could be taking an action, because the review committee has no, I know you're the same, but not when you're sitting there, you don't have any power to take action. But if
Okay.
you wanted to move along, you could have that combined meeting, be advertised as both a review committee meeting and a council meeting, so the public would know. You could take a vote that executes a contract,
Okay.
just to save having a meeting for review committee, then come back here. It's up to you, but I'm just trying to save you. I mentioned this to Councilwoman Hamilton, Hamilton, she indicated that that's the way you advertise them. If that's the way.
Council,
Sitting in.
No, not North Smithfield Town Council meeting as the, that's not what
Meet
I'm
at the town
saying.
council?
You need North Smithfield Town Council meeting and the review committee meeting.
Oh, you need 2 agendas. 2,
Right.
Posted twice. Okay.
Even though you're one and the same, so the public knows, the only people that can spend money is the council.
Why can't we just have a council meeting?
You can do that? Oh, but that, you're
Eliminate
just
the
gonna have
start.
a.
Why confuse
I don't
everybody?
care how you, I don't care how you do it, don't.
Right, I agree with you, though.
Review committee. It's about advertising and posting.
All right, do you want to give out a few dates, and I'll contact Eric Ami and see if he's available to come?
The 1st or the 15th, right?
We don't have I don't think we have a council meeting on the 1st.
Oh, we don't?
No, we only have 1 in July. Do we want to do it at an action, I don't know how busy we are on the 15th.
I mean, it sounds like time is important, so maybe I'm fine with coming in whenever. I don't know what the rest of the council's up to.
do the 15th.
How about June 26th, and see if that's one date he's available? Is everyone else okay with that date? It's a Wednesday.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, that can be fine.
And then,
No, it's not.
June 26th, you're not gonna need me here, I wouldn't be able to be here on the 26th, okay?
I don't think so. Because you don't normally come to the end.
No, I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure she make it at a council meeting, that's all.
All right, perfect, thank you. How about maybe the 10th, if July 10th, maybe a second one on a Wednesday?
That week I'm gonna be away from the 6th to the 13th. Although I won't be, I mean, if you can do it, I can come home that one night. It won't be far.
Can anyone else do the 10th?
Yeah, I can do the 10th.
Paulette?
Yep.
Claire?
Yes.
All right, so I'll get in touch with him, see if he can do June 26th or July 10th, and then I'll have the clerk send out an email to let you guys know whether or not, which one he's available.
Madam President,
Mhm.
Joanne is off on the 26th, and unfortunately, I can't either. I'm not sure if you need my presence
You
there.
guys don't usually come, we usually take
Okay.
our own notes, so
Okay.
that's fine. Okay. All right, so I'll reach out to him and let everyone know whether he can do either of those dates. If not, then we'll have to ask the council for other dates. All right, so did we already have a motion? Do we have to rescind? I think we do, because we had a first and a second, right? We had a
I'll
motion.
rescind my motion to have the administrator authorize the contract.
And I'll
I would rescind my second with that.
I think
You
I did
second?
it.
Okay.
I'll rescind my second. That's it, right?
Open forum.
All right, next item is open forum, agenda items only pursuant to 42-46-6D, maximum of 3 minutes per person. Anybody like to speak for open forum for agenda items only? No? One more time? Okay. Executive session, closed session, discussion by council vote or other action pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 2-46-5A5, any discussion, considerations related to the acquisition or lease of real property for public purposes or of the disposition of publicly held property wherein advanced public information would be detrimental to the interests of the public. 1, potential acquisition of land, and 2, potential acquisition of land.
I'll make a motion, we move into executive session.
We have a motion, is there a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.